Next on the Broadway Show, the Phantom of the Opera is here. Ben Crawford, Broadway's Phantom, is on the show to talk about our longest-running musical's final weeks. Plus, Dance Fever. Tony winner Wayne Cilento joins us to chat about bringing BOB FOSSE'S DANCIN back to the boards. And he's one of the fresh new faces of Broadway. Justin Cooley, one of the stars of Kimberly Akimbo, is here to talk about making his Broadway debut. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is the Broadway Show. If you're looking for the inside scoop on Broadway's biggest shows, you've come to the right place. It's the Broadway Show. I'm Tamsen Fadal. Welcome. It's a bittersweet Broadway anniversary. The Phantom of the Opera just celebrated its 35th anniversary at the Majestic Theatre in New York City. But you've only got a few more months to check it out. The musical now slated to wrap April 16th. I caught up with Broadway's final Phantom, Ben Crawford. Well, let's talk about April 16th. It's getting closer, right?
Yeah.
All right, how you feeling?
It's bittersweet. I think the cast is, in one way, excited to be a part of the closing cast, but I think also it's, sad that an era of Broadway is ending. And I think we're all still, on a daily basis, wrapping our heads around that and all the facets that it affects us.
Yeah, I mean, I think New York as a whole is going to do that, right? That's just kind of a place you go by, and it's Phantom. Phantom is there, and
exactly.
that's what you know. Well, first of all, Crawford, beginning and ending with Crawford's. That's kind of interesting.
Oh, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, my dad pointed that out to me the day we got our closing notice. I was talking to my dad, and he pointed that out. He's like, well, it started with a Crawford and it's going to end with one. And I thought, oh, well, that's kind of cool.
What do you think? I mean, it's been an incredible ride. You've been here for a long time. Are there any pivotal things that really stand out for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, we just celebrating the 35th anniversary was pretty amazing. My daughter just came and saw the show, and that was just really, really cool to have her in the audience and be able to see the show. I mean, she's 5. She didn't really know what was going on, but she was like, that's Daddy, and I saw her like blowing me a kiss after the show. So there's like all those little like daddy moments that you really just keep in your heart. Yeah.
That's incredible. Has she come since? Has she seen it one time so far?
She's just seen it once,
okay.
And she actually fell asleep in the final scene, and then I was thinking,
it's okay, she's allowed.
Yeah, she's absolutely allowed. Yeah, but the audience applauded on my final note, and she woke up and went, "There's Daddy." So. She was into it. Yeah, she was into it enough for me.
History on stage as well, with your co-star being the first Black actress to play that role. Talk a little bit about that night, because that was really incredible all around, not just for here at the theater.
Absolutely, it was pretty amazing, and Emily is an amazing ambassador for that moment. She's a phenomenal performer, actress, singer. I expect a lot of great things from her. It's fun being the older guy now. At a show and seeing like young talent come up and just like the next wave of people who are gonna define what Broadway is, and being in that moment and is just an honor really to be on that stage with her as she made history that night. But I expect great things from Emily, and I'm so incredibly proud of her.
All right, what are you gonna miss the most about I mean, your life is the Phantom, so your life kind of is built around this show right now. Absolutely,
yeah. Probably just the experience of playing this iconic character, and it all encapsulates kind of into being the masked man. There's things that I'm definitely looking forward to not having to do, because it is so difficult, but when it comes to playing this part, it's just, I'm so fortunate and blessed to be able to do this, and then to be able to close the show is a pretty incredible honor too.
When they say something's going down in history, you're literally going down in history.
Yeah, it's an amazing, Phantom, it's permeated pop culture for so long. I mean, I think there's people who, don't typically come to see Broadway shows, but they come see Phantom of the Opera because it does have that presence in pop culture. And so it really is like one of those defining moments of an end of an era in a way. So I'm interested to see how Broadway's affected with it closing, and what the next steps are in Broadway with this iconic musical taking its final bow.
Can we look around the dressing room? Is there anything in particular that stands out to you that's kind of special? I'm assuming some stuff from fans, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got this beautiful picture that someone gave me at the stage door, and they were just actually out at the 35th anniversary, and they're like, "Do you remember me? I made that picture." I said, "Is the winner I'm doing this?" And they said, "Yes, that's it." We've got this from Squigs, the artist.
Yeah.
Our incredible Greg Mills, one of our super swings in the show, he took this photo of me, which is just so incredibly cool.
That's beautiful.
I have some toys around the dressing room,
I did notice that.
When I FaceTime my kiddos, we play, and my son is really into dinosaurs right now. And someone just recently sent me this little dinosaur who's dressed as the Phantom. I mean, just like really, really neat little mementos that I get from people. You know, a lot of people are just so kind and appreciative of what we do here at the theater, and you get stuff like that, and you're just like, this is really, really cool.
Want to see more of my interview? Head over to Broadway.com for an extended cut. Back in 1978, Wayne Cilento got a big break when Bob Fosse featured him in his hit musical Dancin'. Now he's bringing the dance show back to the boards. Let's send it out to Paul Wontorek.
That's right, Tamsen. Cilento is rebooting the sexy Fosse classic with an incredible new company of dancers. I got to visit him at New 42nd Street Studios to find out more. You are in rehearsals for Dancin', bringing back Dancin', and I was thinking about it. 45 years ago, right now, you were in rehearsals for the original Dancin'.
Absolutely.
Working with Bob Fosse on an original musical that I think he was really passionate about. What was that like? What was that time like, working with that man who was such a big part of your life?
That time was a really great progressive time for me because I just got out of Chorus Line.
Yeah.
I went and I did the act with Liza, and I missed the auditions. And then while we were rehearsing to go open on Broadway, Graciela had worked out like an audition for me and told Bob, you have to see him. So I ran from the rehearsal hall at the Minskoff Theater. Do you remember that?
The rehearsal room.
Yeah, rehearsal room.
You said, hang on, Liza, I'll be right back.
I did, lunch. I ran over there, and then Annie and Bob were there, and they gave me steps, and I danced with Bob, sang, and kept on raising my key like a crazy man. I said thank you, and I left.
Can I stop you for 1 second? In the first minute of this interview,
Yeah.
you mentioned so many legends that were a part of your life. You know what I mean? Bob Fosse, Graciela Daniele, Anne Rankin. I mean,
Totally.
it's so crazy.
It is crazy.
And Liza Minnelli. I mean, you know all these people.
I know.
That's why we're here. I love this.
Cilento's career was filled with bold-faced Broadway names from the start, and now he's become one himself. His first big moment? Playing Mike in the original cast of A Chorus Line, who memorably sings, I Can Do That.
Hell, I can do that. I can do that.
Now he's best known as a Tony-winning choreographer who has staged hit musicals including The Who's Tommy, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, Aida, and Wicked. But these days, he's focused on the show that earned him a Tony nomination as a performer, Dancin'. With Fosse's daughter Nicole keeping an eye on the project, performances start at the Music Box Theater on March 2nd.
So let's talk about the original Dancin'. When I was a kid, one of my earliest memories of Broadway is walking around the theater district and seeing those Dancin' posters, which scared the heck out of me.
Yeah.
That image was crazy.
You mean the disjointed thing?
Yeah, the disjointed bodies, twisted. I was like, what is this show?
Exactly.
And it was really such a hot show. And to me, it was kind of the epitome of that late 70s Broadway scene. What was it like to actually be on stage? And also, it led to a Tony nomination for featured actor for you, which is fantastic.
It was a killer.
A killer show.
It was like a non-stop killer show.
Yeah.
I mean, it was no joke. And plus the fact he decided to put me in every single number. It was such a new entity, you know, dance concert format, 3 acts on Broadway, which was never done before.
Right.
Just about us, dancers, and music that he decided to pick, and styles that he wanted to do and experiment with. It was, you know, it was just unbelievable to be in that situation. I think a lot of people do this style of Bob Fosse.
Yes.
I mean, all the pop stars, like there's Beyonce and the whole bunch of people, Michael Jackson, and everything that, you know, he was such a great influence on people. What I've learned doing this show is that, because I started like really looking at his career and who he was as a man and as a dancer, because you kind of fall into the very specific part of Bob, the sexy part, this still part, the you know, seductive part, the finger, the shoulder, the eye, you know, that. But then there's this explosive part of Bob Fosse that, you know, people don't see. I want to get the essence of him, not only just do Dancin', because, you know, that was a very important thing that I stayed true to that. and his numbers and always his choreography. It's all about his choreography. But I wanted to do the influence of him as a film director choreographer. So I thought maybe we do a set that's like a sound stage and it's like scaffolding, like all that jazz, and keep that, all of that texture and stuff that he's done, and just bring in dancing as if he was maybe filming it, or just doing numbers from dancing in a different environment, not so much a concert environment. Okay. So that's how I was figuring, how do I do this 41 years later and make it relevant for today's generation and make Bob Fosse, you know, come back? What would he have done? Technology-wise, lighting-wise, idea-wise, how would he push those buttons? And he was always ahead of the curve. Hopefully, I did that, and I also gave the audience the essence of who that man was as a brilliant choreographer and dancer.
Tell me about assembling the group of dancers for Dancin in 2023.
It was interesting and exciting, to tell you the truth, because it wasn't like I locked myself into a certain body type. I was looking whoever was interesting and could really dance. Just beautiful group of young people that will instill that energy and love of dance into Bob's work again.
This March will be your 50th anniversary on Broadway.
Wow,
it will be
it's been a
50th.
long time, huh?
Yeah. When I look at your career, one thing that I'm really impressed with is how you always remain very hip and relevant. You started as a very 70s career, right? But the things you've done in the 80s, the projects you worked on, and then in the 90s with Tommy and, you know, Wicked and Holler If You Hear Me. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. And I want to know, what's your secret? How do you stay so...
You know, I was so terrified. And, you know, I didn't want to become a Broadway baby just doing Broadway kind of choreography. I think because I had a little bit of an edge and a feisty attitude, I kind of like try to stay on top of it. And I think it's because I'm a dancer, and I'll always be a dancer. I mean, I'm torturing myself now because I just want to get on the floor and dance, but I'm so old. So my body just doesn't want to do it, but I will trick myself into getting up one of these days soon. But I think I just stayed on top of what was happening.
Isn't Wicked such a crazy gift in your life?
Such a gift.
Wicked, the gift that keeps giving.
I mean, as a choreographer, that is the gift. I don't think I'll ever have a show as big as that again. I mean, it's a phenomenon. Like, I had a chorus line, and I had Dancin', and I have Wicked. I mean, it's like shocking to think that I had those moments in my life.
This is a Broadway show, and we're back in just a few.
Hi, I'm Nathan Lane, and you're watching The Broadway Show. And aren't you lucky?
Thanks for staying with us for this latest episode of The Broadway Show. Glad you're here. It's one for the ages. The critically acclaimed new Broadway musical, Kimberly Akimbo, just released a new cast album. We caught up with Justin Cooley, one of that show's stars, making his Broadway debut. He's this week's fresh face.
Hello, my name is Justin Cooley, and I play Seth Wheatus in Kimberly Akimbo. I'm from Kansas City, Kansas metro area. What brought me to New York City is Kimberly Akimbo. In 2021, I was a part of the Jimmy Awards. From then, I got cast and packed my bags and came out here for the off-Broadway run at the Atlantic Theatre Company.
They feared I was magic. They feared I was cursed. But mostly they feared the unknown.
The Jimmy Awards was an incredible experience for me. Even though it was digital my year, I had kind of a special year. And then just being there with so many different types of kids my age and so much overwhelming talent, like professional level, it was incredible. What I love about Kimberly Akimbo is that it's a story really grounded in the flaws of humanity. We don't shy away from like our darkest parts and the things that we might not like about ourselves, and even just our weirdest parts. But it finds the beauty in acknowledging that and embracing it and moving forward as your truest self to find joy. And I just think everyone needs to hear that message. I definitely relate to Seth in just his inquisitive, curious nature about the world and other people. I admired about him and really connect to him how he doesn't really see any rules for anything and he doesn't judge anything. He just sees how everything is special and different, and I try to live my life in the same way. Victoria Clark, working with her has been the most incredible experience. She's supported me, uplifted me, transformed me like in every part of this role, and she just does the most incredible work, and she's the most humble spirit and the most giving person. I want to be just like her in my career going forward. I think my advice to other aspiring performers is really to embrace yourself and be yourself, and don't be afraid, especially like for other actors my age, to be young and to be quirky and to be messy, and because that's like the truth that people need to see. What people want to see is you, and I think everyone needs to fully embrace that.
Welcome back to the Broadway Show. I'm Tamsen Fadal. Let's get back to it. In honor of Black History Month, we want to shine the spotlight on the Black Theatre Coalition, an organization that aims to narrow the gap for people of color in the industry. Here's co-founder and artistic director T. Oliver Reid.
Our mission statement is to remove the illusion of inclusion in the American theater by helping build a sustainable and ethical roadmap towards employment for Black professionals. What excites me the most is seeing the changes we're already able to make, the percentages of Black professionals that are already working in the industry in these first 2 short years. Before the pandemic, there were no Black general managers working on Broadway. Since we have reopened, there are 8 general managers working in offices around the Broadway box, which is an 800% increase in employment. That's amazing. It's the beginning of the real change that we need to see in the business. We truly have to make room and open doors and make space at tables so that we can tell the stories that we want to tell, so that we can have the audiences in the seats that we want in the seats, and so that everyone understands that Broadway and the American theater are for them.
We're also excited to tell you about a paid fellowship program for college juniors and seniors and recent grads who are interested in a career in theater. It's called the Black Theatre Coalition Broadway Across America Fellowship, sponsored by the John Gore Organization.
So the Broadway Across America Fellowship really is allowing young Black professionals who are living in other cities, for the most part, to work with BAA in some of their areas and really get an understanding of how Broadway Across America works. It's finally allowing people who were never invited into those rooms. In fact, one of our BTC BAA fellows, Alakir Fletcher, is right here. Tell me about your experience with the fellowship thus far.
Yeah, it's been an amazing experience. I've been surrounded by a swarm of people who have been nothing but generous and kind, and not to mention really passionate about what they do. It's been really incredible just to pick everyone's brains and actually see what they do here at Broadway Across America. I think there's a lot of things that we as theater goers and patrons, we take for granted that I didn't even know existed, that I think now I have a different insight and POV of how those things work. We knew early on that many times it would be Black bodies going into white spaces. How has the experience of being one of few who may be in an office been for you, and how have you been able to move forward in a way that feels beneficial for you, and that it's allowing you to have the process that you need to have? Yeah, 100%. I mean, this is something that I definitely deal with throughout my entire life within this business, particularly because I know theater is a predominantly white space. I go to a predominantly white institution, so I think something for me is just being mindful of the amount of space that I take up and not being so apologetic about the amount of space that I take up, but also respecting my colleagues and my peers, just so that way I can create a space for myself and for other people who may want to enter this space as well. I've had a great experience here at BAA. This fellowship gives me an inside scoop, if you will, on what goes on behind the scenes. I'm able to learn from everyone in every department, not just my department. So it's been a really great experience here.
As a young person that aspired to work in theater, I would have loved to have a program like this. Sometimes when people think of theater, they think solely of the creative opportunities, but this particular program teaches students and young professionals about ticketing, theater business, booking, routing, and so many other facets of the industry that you may not know about until you're in it. And I think sometimes that unless you have that key to get inside these rooms, you wouldn't know anything about it. So that's what makes our program really special.
The Broadway Show is back in just a sec. That's all for now. I'll see you next time. I'm Tamsen Fadal, and this is The Broadway Show.